Coming over from Lithuania and spending time in the Barcelona system, Kasparas Jakucionis was instant impact during his season at Illinois and asserted himself as one of the most talented freshmen in college basketball. He's a 6'5", 6'6" guard who is one of the class's most gifted passers and pick and roll operators, and someone with a knack for hitting step back jumpers on the perimeter. And though his play tailed off late, possibly with a forearm injury affecting him, he put up a healthy stat line throughout the year. Now, some of the issues in his ability to separate without a ball screen, his turnovers, and the clear questions on defense have made his projection as a lead guard more questionable than it might have been earlier on. But his size, passing, and shot making upside is a combination that's always going to be worth considering as high as the late lottery. Now, there's a couple spots that you could start with Kasparas' game, but we'll lead off with his passing. He put up about 5 assists a night with an impressive assist rate and an overall feel and unselfishness that shines through. He's one of the better guys in the class at first, reading the defense and making the simple read on time, even if it means that he doesn't come up with the assist, but he also has the ability to deliver skips with either hand and other difficult passes in tight windows. He's at his best in the pick and roll, where he can survey the floor and use his patience and knowledge for the help's responsibilities to his advantage. Now, Ivicic did a ton of popping and they'd run a lot of off-ball actions for shooters, which when Jakucionis would then attract two to the ball, it made those reads pretty simple to make, so he did that a lot. But he also does a good job of opening up passing windows with ball fakes and manipulating them to either find the roller or the corner man, and I think he'll benefit a ton from having an NBA roller that'll attract attention and allow him to build off of that in a different way than he did this year. Now, he's not the best on interior reads or as a downhill guy, but he can give you a wraparound or a dump off in close. He'll make those basic kickouts to shooters and push pace in transition too. And though he doesn't have that elite level savvy as a passer, to me, he's right there and checks a lot of boxes. Overall, a freshman stepping into his role as the clear engine and life source of this offense was impressive and should translate favorably at the next level in whatever role that he ends up in.
We've had great officiating all day here, but man, they missed that. Jakucionis. Oh, what a pass.
Feels like especially tough. Yes. Free ball. Gibbs long of 17 from 3 on the year.
Welcome sign from the Cats.
Boswell finds Johnson. Kasparas now with it. He finds Booth in the corner. Little strong there.
Jakucionis in the corner to Riley. The 3 ball is short.
You see it in his demeanor.
Unflappable is the word that comes to mind, Clark. You used it. Ivicic leading.
Get back to that left, but we see the growth, and that's what I thought we were going to see from him early.
Here's Johnson with a jam.
Those has some good looks. He's got 3 down, but he's had some 2-point attempts that shed problem.
Jakucionis had an angle. Colvin cut it off nicely.
Nice pass again.
And Boswell.
Well regarded in the Missouri Valley Conference, wide open Boswell triple.
Jakucionis, no look pass to Ivicic, back out to Boswell.
Short. Build on a 14-point lead. Johnson, strong.
Now, Kasparas also has some intriguing skills as a scorer, specifically in the pick and roll. It was by far his most common play type, partially because he kind of needs the ball screen to get free in a lot of ways, but he's also very good here at setting up screens, playing with pace, and using his craft and angles to convert. He had quite a bit of success playing off of drag screens, stack action, and those chase and goal looks, and when he can get some momentum or an angle, he has success touching the paint and finishing at a good clip. He shot over 60% of the rim in the half court, also getting there at a respectable rate, and this craft playing off of 2 feet and using the occasional euro or off foot finish made him tougher to contest and helped him remain efficient. He also got to the line a ton, which often started out of ball screens too, and his ability to manipulate defenders and sell calls, whether you find it ethical or not, has been important to his success and a commonly positive indicator for guard prospects. So even though he isn't the most natural downhill guard or dynamic athlete and can be limited in some ways, which we'll get to, he is very comfortable in ball screens and does just enough rim pressure wise to have belief in him as a creator.
Early, they are going to use a lot of that shot clock and make Illinois guard for the majority of it. Jakucionis rips the ball.
Shots, but he uses his size to be able to alter shots, and you saw it on 2 straight possessions there.
Jakucionis, boy, he is
lost 15 pounds. He injures that ankle like you mentioned, and then he gets the flu. So it was a 1-2-3 punch. Jakucionis, scoreless so far. Nice spin. How did he get that? Alabama, 2 paint touches and 2 hard cuts off the ball for a wide open look.
Jakucionis.
We've seen him do it one time tonight. Jakucionis now working on Conwell and Frazier trying for two.
Starters back on the floor for Illinois. Jakucionis looking for space.
Of late for Peyton Sanford, 7 for his last 37 from 3. And a good shot fake.
Now, there are a good amount of questions for him as a creator outside of ball screens, which we'll get to in a second, but he has shown a ton of upside as a perimeter shot maker and someone who can get you buckets late in possessions. He shot about 32% on pull-ups overall, which isn't the greatest clip, but it's at least decent when you're accounting for the volume and difficulty of the ones that he takes. He loves to step back, and whenever he gets switches or has to make something happen by himself, you can almost guarantee that you're going to see one, or at least some misdirection variation. And despite the step back being somewhat predictable right now, it's easily his most comfortable and effective source of shot making, and he actually took over a handful of games getting to it in a pretty significant way. Now, I'd still like to see him continue to expand on this. Obviously, being able to go both directions a little more often would be at the top of the list, but figuring out how to more cleanly pull up against drop going downhill, improving his balance, and then also getting more comfortable with different footworks will be integral to fully opening up this part of his game. But this is something I could see him building the rest of his creation off of in some capacity, if he can get there percentage-wise.
Johnson just stares at him. Jakucionis step back 3. We approach 6 minutes to play. Jakucionis.
Same play, step back.
Turn the corner. Driving inside, forced out by Nicholson. 7 to shoot. Step back 3. High arcing. 52% today.
And Boogie just really not on his game.
Jakucionis lines it up. 3.
10 seconds. Clock.
6 to shoot. Jakucionis, step back 3, rattles in.
No post-up game right now.
Jakucionis, a clever passer, steps back into a 3.
He hit it!
Jakucionis. Shake and bake. 3. Playing to his strengths, driving to the rim. 11-1 Husker run. Jakucionis trying to quiet it in.
His length, his mobility, downhill driver, but he's versatile.
Jakucionis right over the top
From deep.
And they get some stops.
Jakucionis with the answer.
Now, to me, the biggest issue for KJ is his inability to create consistent separation outside of ball screens, and related to that, the high number of turnovers that he commits specifically via his handle. He's a limited athlete who struggles to create blow-bys and really turn that corner consistently one-on-one, and when matched up with a point of attack defender that really pressures the ball, you see him commit bad turnovers, settle for desperation threes, and have this really dampen his value as an overall playmaker and creator. And you have to wonder how well he's going to handle being matched up with everyone from the Thunder three-headed monster to Jalen Suggs, the Thompson twins, down to like Dennis Schroeder when he wants to pick up 94 feet. He averaged just under 4 giveaways a game with a turnover percentage of 25, which is a rate that we haven't seen translate into great NBA success often. Now, it's not necessarily a disqualifier. Everyone is unique, and there's some good players who have been upwards of 20, but you got to make up for it in basically every other way offensively, and maybe he does that with less responsibility in a better overall context, but the lack of great functional athleticism might make that tough to execute. This is the main reason I became lower on him over the course of the season. Creators who struggle to separate and aren't strength-based guys have to be elite shooters and extremely quick processors. 2 things that he has at least a chance at being, but it's a lot less sure of a thing than what we saw from prospect Halliburton, McCain, or Bane, and that fluctuating aggression and lack of creativity in the mid-range make it tougher to see star as easily too.
Illinois run. Jakucionis hit a couple of threes early, turns it
Controlled by the Illini. Jakucionis double team already.
Jakucionis into the backcourt and a turnover again.
Maryland to keep trying to go right at Abises. Jakucionis throws it away.
He was on a Mormon mission, and in his last 9 games, his minutes, point shooting percentage, everything has gone well.
Jakucionis
intercepted by Nelson.
Right up right there. Allen going with a little bit of zone here. Jakucionis will penetrate that zone
all year prior to today.
4 out of 5 alone tonight. Jakucionis against Garcia one-on-one. Spins on the senior.
Takes a peek at the timer. Jakucionis against Brazil. Lines it up. Knocks it down.
The field. Jakucionis, he spins now. My goodness.
6'6" freshman point guard. Now Bates picks him up. Got a half step. Fadeaway over Mitchell. Good!
Purdue was able to lock down Alabama on Friday night.
You know what else jumped out to me about that Purdue game? Behind Paul Gallen Fieldhouse.
Now, one of the bigger point of emphasis I think he'll have is becoming a more consistent shooter off the catch. He's had a fair amount of success off the bounce recently and shoots it at a high clip from the line, but he's long been less effective off the catch. And for someone that may have to be more of a combo in the league, or at least won't dominate the ball quite as much as he has to this point, it's going to be key for him providing consistent value in a number of lineups and situations. He was at about 34% off the catch this year, which is decent, though on limited attempts, but he has been at or below that mark in the past. It's hard to imagine that he won't become respectable here, given the pieces that are there and the numbers that are in his favor, but for whatever reason, he hasn't done it yet, so it's still got to be a point of emphasis.
Has it. Upcourt Boswell on the wing. Jakucionis a three.
It's all here. Riley dumps it off to White. Great help. Jakucionis for three.
White with it now. Finds Ivicic. Ivicic finds Kasparas. Good.
Beautiful dump off the way the interior feed to Garcia as an option for him to get out.
Jakucionis gives Illinois.
I think it's pretty clear that he's not going to be an impactful defender. There's plenty of great players in the NBA who don't excel in this end, so it's far from a disqualifier for being a positive player, but it does become more and more important the further away he is from being your lead creator or at least a starting caliber guard. He's not the most blessed laterally, and it hurts him at the point of attack, especially against point guards, which he didn't spend much time on this year with or without Boswell out there for a reason, and I'd imagine he'll get targeted until he can prove otherwise. Now positively, the effort was always there, from diving on loose balls, helping out on the glass, or navigating screens. Even when that wasn't always great, you weren't finding him giving up on plays often, so that's at least something to think positively about, especially considering that he played a lot of minutes and had a lot of responsibility. In help, he's got a decent understanding of where to be, but he doesn't make plays and his stock rates were pretty low. Now you can't always just look at the numbers and reach a conclusion from that, but when you see who else has posted these in the past and you know his athletic tools, you can be pretty certain about where he'll likely end up in the league. So even though the tools aren't there, he is 6'6", and if he can be solid as a team guy, improve as much as possible laterally, and hopefully be in a context that'll let him play in positive matchups, it'll likely be enough for him to keep up, even if he's someone that teams still create game plans with him in mind.
James slipping. Now posting. Inside. Extra pivot.
Switching all of those screens down there, so the guy that was on you is going to veer back into that passing lane. Trail locked and loaded.
Back with a beautiful look. And Johnson.
And Foster.
With that growth, sometimes it takes away from what a young man or woman can do.
Now, Jakucionis has a really interesting outlook as a prospect. I think it'd be difficult for him to be a full-on primary in the league, but a secondary piece around wing creators or a very good third guard on a good team who is surgical in the pick and roll, that's absolutely attainable with his combination of passing, shot making, and size. Defensively, he's probably going to be guarding twos and cross-matched on wings in situations that'll allow it. I think he struggled against NBA ones, but I do think context will be key here, and his size does give him a lot more wiggle room than your 6'3" and under guards have. Mastering the three ball is going to be huge in determining his success. He can obviously shoot already, but that's going to take him where he needs to go, and then finding what works in his handle to draw the defense and create more consistent advantages would be the other spot, along with the turnovers, of course. I think he could max out at that high-level starter level to even a bit above that, and then lower end, he should still have an excellent chance at a rotation spot, though nothing is guaranteed. In terms of landing spots, both the Rockets and Pelicans make a ton of sense structurally, even if 7 is probably a little high for me. I think Atlanta would be fun as another creator there. Orlando would be very happy if he fell to 16, and then the Bulls are likely going to have a lot of interest, even if someone like him isn't high on the list of needs. Comparison-wise, I couldn't find one that I like a ton, but he's probably somewhere between like D'Angelo Russell and a Brandon Pajemski or a Ty Jerome. Just creators who aren't the most physically gifted and are probably best used as secondaries, but have size, perimeter shot making, and passing that's useful across roles. He'll probably be enough different than them in the league, but somewhere in that general range. It's hard to be super low on a 6'5", 6'6" ball handler that can pass it all over the floor, can knock down the shot and operate in the pick and roll. So even with some concerns in Kasparas Jakucionis as an athlete, as a defender, and in his turnovers, I still think he's worth considering as early as the late lottery. The size and playmaking combination is something you're always looking for in every spot, and even if he isn't the level of shot maker to be a star or the athleticism holds him back, there's still probably enough there to eventually contribute in a relevant way.